minutes. It took 8 minutes for me to get online. 8 minutes. Start, restart, start, restart, start, restart. I'm here. Hey, everybody. It's Jake Johnson with Untethered Live. Welcome to the show. Man, I get so aggravated sometimes. Old ass computer can't hardly hang on. I want my Mac back. I can run the world from a Mac. Power supply is dead on it, though. And it's probably so outdated by now anyway. 6 months is a lifetime in the computer world, apparently. Hey, April, how are you? Good to see you, sweetheart. Glad you could drop by. Sorry I'm late. I was on time, but my computer had other plans. Am I missing anything? Everything looks like it's supposed to be what it's supposed to be. Yeah, looks good. Macs are great. They can be. My old Mac is pretty awesome. It's got a lot of power, but the power supply died in it, and it's been out of commission for about a year. Kind of an expensive thing to fix. Though it can be fixed. One day I will fix it. But, you know, if I'm going to have a Mac, probably should get a desk to put it at, because I don't think it's going to fit where I'm at the moment. So, got to finish refurbishing my house before I think about that. You know how it is? Do you have a computer that won't allow you to do what it should be able to do with no problems? I mean, when I bought this computer, the one I'm using, it was top of the line. I paid almost $1,000 for it. It's supposed to be the shit. 6 months in, can't even log on to my YouTube channel. Hey, truth be told audits, what's happening? Welcome to the show. How art thou? Anyway, enough bitching. I'm just aggravated at my old computer. Not a lot, sir. Well, we can't all be busy all the time. Sometimes it's nice to have some downtime. I'm good. I hope you're good. I'm fantastic. I just woke up from a nap. I got home from work a little early today, so I took a nap. I'm old. I can do that. Hey, Caucasian, what's happening, brother? Yeah, we've met before. Anyway, everybody, welcome. Diego, what's happening, brother? Good to see you. Good to see you. Clean off the old glasses here so I can see what you're saying. Hey. I know I'm being an asshole. Well, that's not unusual. Just finished a prayer session with my family. Well, that's personal. Congratulations. Good job. What do I say to that? Praying with your family is beautiful. Those who pray together stay together. Remember that. That's good, solid advice. Diego, my other buddy, how are you doing? Good to see you tonight, says April. Amen. Well, I tell you what, despite the shaky start, we're going to have some fun tonight. I'm ready to get through with this debunking video. It's been a little longer than I wanted it to be. It's lasted 3 episodes. I'm ready to get it done. So tonight, I'm going to finish out. I'm going to go ahead and beat the snot out of Sam Harris and get done with it. And we won't have to worry about debunking him anymore. I'm pretty sure he's made himself clear. I've made myself clear, and I think I'm on top. I think I'm the victor of this here one-sided debate. That's what's real, Diego. Oh, look at her talking like a gangster. Oh my God, that poor soul again? Ugh. Well, only for a little while longer. We're almost through with him. Don't feel bad. You can pick the next one. How about that? You can find somebody full of charisma and has a little common sense, and we'll see if he can't hold a better fight against me. But this guy, I will admit, has gone down pretty easily. Matter of fact, he did most of the work for me. You'll see that when we get through with him. Alrighty then. Yeah, I know. You don't like this guy. I ain't real crazy about him either. He's a little smug, but hey, to each his own. It takes all kinds to make the world go round. The only thing I have a problem with is incorrect knowledge being taught like it's fact. And that's what we're going to fix. Doing great, April. My day has been great, sorry. Went to my uncle's house today and watched soccer. 2 soccer matches. And had ribs with pasta and pizza. That sounds like a fun day. I had Mexican food, oddly enough. I ate nachos. And I've got a taco salad in the fridge for when I get hungry again. Yummy, yummy. That's my favorite, by the way. I know. It's like feeding baby food to an old man, but I like it. It's good. It's got everything. It's got vegetables. It's got meat. It's got starch. It's got it all. And it's in a bowl you can eat. Don't even have to wash dishes. It's like the perfect meal. If it had a blonde attached to it, it would be the perfect meal. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that about my nose. Forgive me, y'all. I didn't hear you say anything about your nose. I guess I missed that one. Ready to keep destroying Sam Harris? But don't worry, Jake. I'll have more satanic atheists for you to debunk and destroy. Debunk and destroy. That's my function, main function, debunk and destroy. Oh, you played soccer before you watched soccer. Well, I can see how that put play into practice. I got it. I understand. It's funny. I'm not going to scroll up now. I'm not going to piss my computer off and try to do something it didn't want to do. So you can tell me about it later. Or I'll read it when I review the video. Truth be told, Audits, how's your channel going? I understand you got a pretty good channel going. As a matter of fact, I believe I've seen a couple of your videos. Whoop, that's the wrong. No. Wrong lower third. Sorry about that. There we go. That's better. Did I lose you already, truth be told? Caucasian? You pop in and pop out? There he is. There he is. I got you. Yeah, I reached 4,000 subs today. Congratulations. You get the golf clap. That's pretty badass. All right. I ain't nowhere near that. That's awesome. I'm proud for you. A little jealous. Are you still enjoying it at 4,000 subs, or is it starting to feel like work? Mine's been feeling like work for about a year now. That's all right, though. I like work. He's putting on a 45 day. He's putting on 45 a day, roughly. Well, that's good. 45 subs a day. That is very good. A lot of haters coming in now. Yeah, I'm getting a few of those myself, and I ain't nowhere near your number, but I'm getting a few haters. I had a guy accuse me of child molestation, though. Have you had that yet? That's pretty fun. ATL Auditor, hello. Made my name shorter. I see that. It works. It's got a little ring to it. He's tearing up Louisiana. Yeah, I used to live in Louisiana, right over the French Quarters. There's a little crawfish bar, and there was an apartment right above it, right there on the French Quarters. I forget what the name of the street was, but they had jazz all the time. I remember that. I'd walk down the street, and watch the guys on the street corners playing their horns. It's fantastic. Yes, my last audit was in a school parking lot, watching cops, and somebody says, "What am I doing at the school?" LOL. Well, watching the cops. That's what I'm doing at the school. Hey, ATL. Hey, fellas, can Jake get a share? Let's bomb him. I don't know what that means, but I like it. Sounds fun. Thank you. I appreciate the support. I'll leave a light on for you. Take your shoes off. Sit a spell. In just a few minutes, I'm going to crank up and listen to an atheist talk and tear his ass apart to shreds like I'm a giant person and he's a piece of cheese and I got a cheese grater. That was a bad analogy, but you got the point. What's the link? That would be UntetheredLive at YouTube, I think. Sup, man? James Freeman and San Joaquin Valley Transparency. Highlight of my video in the last 2 days. Hey. Just shared, says ATL Auditor. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. I'll do as much for you. Is that? What? I guess that is the link. You'll have 4,002 when I get through with you. I'll help where I can, man. I ain't a very big channel, but I'm working at it. I just subbed, though I did already. Duh. Thought I did already. Duh. Nice. It's almost like she said 69. All right, let's come down here and see if I can't find my place in this video. I had it set up, and then I lost it because I had to restart my computer like 4 times.
Could you provide?
Shut up. I'm not ready for you yet. That looks reasonably close. Let's see what he's saying. I jumped 20 subs after changing my name, or jumped, or pumped. I ain't figured that one out yet, but it's one of those umps. Ready for the remainder of the destruction of Sam Harris. Oh, sorry. How about Sam Doofus? Either way you like it.
In the face of this possibility, what are the chances that we're all going to go to hell for eternity because we haven't recognized the Quran to be the perfect word of the creator of the universe?
I'm going to say slim to none, because the Quran, as you may know, is not the perfect word of God. It is a book that was written much later by a man not inspired by God to do so, which includes the first 5 books of the actual Bible. By the way, Quran is just another word for it in another language. But you understand what I'm saying? It's not the complete text. The actual inspired word of God that God said he would leave on earth is the Bible. By the way, all other gods, all of them, you can do your own research if you don't believe me. All other gods, false or otherwise, none of them claim to be the creator of everything. They all exist within creation. That's how you know it's not the right God, you moron.
Please know that this is exactly how Christianity appears to someone who's not been indoctrinated by it.
Well, you don't get indoctrinated by Christianity because it's a choice. We don't make our kids go to school at early ages and force feed them Christianity. We allow them to make their own choices, or at least we should. That's the way a real Christian acts. I don't know about some people. You have a bad habit of conflating Christianity with Catholicism, so I would assume you might be talking about that instead. But a Christian believes in the freedom of choice. We're Christians because it's true, not because we're in a cult.
Our scriptures were written by people who, by virtue of their placement in history, had less access to scientific information and facts and basic common sense than any person in this room. Okay, in fact, there's not a person in this room who's ever met a person whose worldview was as narrow as the worldview of Abraham or Moses.
I have. I'm looking at one right now. Let me explain something to you, buddy. Abraham did not have a worldview in your sense of the term. Abraham was a nomad and pretty much lived in his daddy's tent most of his life. He was pretty much a nobody. He didn't do a whole lot of things. He was a tent dweller. God called him and said, go on a journey. And so he did. He obeyed the word of God, because in that day, unlike this day, when God spoke to you, he did it with his voice. And I would imagine that if you were in a tent and God spoke to you, you would get up and go too. So that's what he did. That is the basis on which he forms this worldview that you're referring to. He didn't start out with a worldview. Abraham wasn't a Christian. He was just a dude. God called him and then made him go on a journey, and through that process became who he was. I mean, really.
Or Jesus or Muhammad. And most of these people...
Jesus didn't have a worldview either, because he was the Son of God. He was literally God in the flesh on the earth. That's not a worldview. That is the world. And Muhammad doesn't even fit in that category, so stop that.
With a few exceptions, had a moral worldview that was more or less indistinguishable from that of an Afghan warlord today.
Really? Are you suggesting that the people in Afghanistan, a warlord in Afghanistan, has the same worldview as Abraham, who lived not in Afghanistan, but in somewhere around Jerusalem, probably in the wherever the Canaan land is, up in that area? He lived in Canaan. Not the same place, not the same religion, not the same race, not the same kind of people. You are conflating, sir. You should probably watch that. You'll get something on you can't wash off.
Okay, and yet Dr. Craig insists that the authors of the Bible knew everything they had to know about the nature.
That's what inspired means. You understand that the men who wrote the Bible over a span of about 4,000 years did not know each other, and also did not know they were writing the Bible. They were inspired by God to record something, and that something got caught into posterity and became a text that people used later to compile the Bible. It's not like they knew what they were doing. You make it sound like they all got together and wrote the Bible with some conspiracy in mind. That's not how it worked. Hey, George Ward, what's happening, brother? Good to see you, my friend.
Of the cosmos and about how to live within it, to guide us at this moment. Okay, I want to.
And by the way, the Bible spans a period of time. It talks about the past. It talks about what for the Bible would be the present, which would have been during the Roman times. And then it talks about the future during Revelations and Daniel and some other places. So it talks about the whole existence of mankind from start to finish. It is not a book that just talks about what's good for us today. These truths are held self-evident. From the beginning of time to the end of time, they are truth. Truth doesn't change with time.
Suggest to you that this vision of life can't possibly be true. Okay, but just as there's no such thing as Christian physics or Muslim algebra, there can be no such thing as Christian or Muslim.
Hey, moron. Gravity. Christian physics. See how that worked?
Morality. Whatever is true about our circumstance in moral terms and in spiritual terms is discoverable now and can be talked about in language that is not an outright affront to everything that we've learned in the last 2,000 years.
Have
what
we learned a
remains
lot?
for us to discover are the facts in every domain of knowledge that will allow the greatest number of us to live lives truly worth living in this world. I mean, how is...
Are you talking about the survival of the fittest? I think you're talking about survival of the fittest. That's a racist way of thinking. It's survival of the strongest, survival of the smartest, survival of the cunningest, and survival of the fittest. But hey, whatever floats your boat, man. You want to live like a socialist? Go for it.
Is it that we can build a global civilization, a viable global civilization of now...
No. We don't want a global civilization. Did you not read the very book that you're downing right now on public television or wherever it is you're appearing? Did you not read that book? Globalization is what leads to the end of everything, not the beginning. You don't want a global government. You don't want a global religion. That's called the mark of the beast, or that's the time that happens. You don't want that. Bad Sam Harris.
Destined to be 9 billion people, where the maximum number of people truly flourish.
Fun fact. There are 7.5 billion people on planet Earth at the current moment, roughly speaking, give or take a couple hundred. Every single one of them can fit with a foot squared to themselves in Dallas, Texas. Prove me wrong. Every one of them with a foot to themselves, standing up. Every living human being on planet Earth. Not only are we not anywhere near running out of room, we're not even close to the idea of running out of room. Everybody huddles on the coasts. That's why it feels like we're congested. 9 billion people? That's not a lot of people. There were more than 9 billion people on planet Earth when the flood happened. It'll be that way again, I promise, and more.
That is the challenge we face. Sectarian moral denominations, okay, a world shattered, balkanized by competing claims about an invisible God is not the way to do it.
Who told you God was invisible?
Apart from the fact that there's no evidence in the first place that should be compelling to us.
I'm going to blow your mind. You want evidence of God? I'll give you evidence of God that is not only irrefutable, but it is also the dumbest thing that ever came out of a man's mouth. I will use foolishness to confound the wise. Are you ready for it? What came first, the chicken or the egg? I'll wait. Oh, you can't answer that, can you? Because if you think about that for more than a second, beyond, chicken evolved from a dinosaur. No, dinosaur, chicken. Sorry. Physics, remember? Number two, that's okay to think that a chicken evolved, but what evolved the egg? There is no process or material whereby to evolve an egg from. An egg can only be made by an animal that makes eggs. That is the only place, literally, that material is made. Yet, that animal comes from an egg. There is no flip-flopping between amphibians and mammals here. If you lay an egg, you have to be born from an egg, period. So which came first, chicken or the egg? The answer is the chicken, fully formed and ready to lay an egg. That is the only way it could happen. And if you do the mental gymnastics that's required for that stupid statement, you will come to the term, inevitably, yes, the chicken was first. How did the chicken get here fully grown and ready to lay an egg? Because God put it here, period.
Adopt that view. The only tool we need is honest inquiry. And I would suggest to you that if faith is ever right about anything in this domain, it's right by accident.
Faith isn't about being right. Faith is about taking something that you can't see for truth because of the benefits of that truth. It is the evidence of things hoped for, but the substance of things not seen.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to talk to all of you.
Not so. Let's get your answer to the question.
Thank you. Dr. Harris, if Dr. Craig could link out of your objections about the problem of evil and the problem of choosing the right religion, so that those weren't really problems, those weren't functioning in the debate, where does that put you dialectically? How do those function in the debate?
Dialectically or ergonomically?
Good reason to believe that Christianity is true?
Or if Dr. Craig could show that choosing a particular religion wasn't necessary for the grounding of morality, just that some religion being true was sufficient for...
Thank you, ATL. That is the whole reason why I'm here. Because along about 2 years ago, I discovered in searching for things to research that there is nobody on the internet, on this platform in particular, that is telling the truth, the actual truth, without a worldview attached to it, without a denomination or a political leaning attached to it. While I am a political person and I have certain worldview, I do not include that in my teaching. I teach what the Bible says and nothing more. If it don't say it, I don't put it in there. And I don't think there's anybody else or very few people doing that very thing. That's why I chose to do this. Also because I felt led to do it. But thank you for noticing, and I appreciate that you can see what I'm trying to do.
Or there being a grounding for morality, and that the problem of evil was somehow answered.
Well, I would never be tempted to dispute that we could make up a religion that, if true, would be a grounding of morality. I mean, you could, those are...
No. You get morality from the 10 Commandments. That's where morals come from. Before that, it was a free-for-all. It was chaos, cats and dogs living together. It was pandemonium. Then the law was laid down, and that's when you were told this you can do and that you can't do, period. That's when mankind decided to make a moral stance on what is right and what is wrong. Before that, did not apply. You can't make up a new religion and assume that it will entail morals. If it does, it's because you added it from a previous religion.
Imaginary schemes are there for the asking. We could make them up, and in about 5 minutes, we could make up a better religion than any that exists. I mean,
You go first. I'd like to see you try. Let me see you write anything. I tell you what, condense it down to one page. You don't even have to write a whole book. Just write one page, and let's see where that page is in 5 years from now. Do you think they'll be talking about it 2,000 years later? Do you think that there'll be world views based on it? You think that countries will base their existence on your one-page religion? No. Maybe a week from now, you'll forget where you put the paper. You are vastly undercutting the value of what we have in the Bible. It is not a book written on animal skins by cavemen with chicken bones. These men were smarter than you will ever be. Ever. And me too, by the way. They knew things. They understood the world in a way that we barely grasp now. They understood scientific concepts which are in the Bible. And they wrote it down for posterity. And they wrote it in a way that you could read it over and over and over and learn something new every single time you read it. The Bible is literally pregnant. Not only that, was written by many people over a span of about 4,000 years, yet somehow each book has a story, and each book refers to another book that was not written when it was written, and the whole thing put together forms a story. The astronomical idea that that could even be possible is dumbfounding, and you just look right over it like you don't even see it. Like you can't even understand that 4,000 years went by and people wrote things occasionally. And when somebody decided to grab all of that and put it together, it formed a coherent story that you can follow from start to finish. And in every book, 66 of them to be exact, 69 or 70, depending on the ones that were taken out, they all refer to each other as if they were all written by the same author. These people didn't know each other. Some of them spent their lives in prison and died there. Some of them were exiled on islands. Some of them were martyred. All of them, just about it, were killed for their beliefs. Yet they risked everything to put this together. And you dismiss it as if somebody made it up? You show me any other book that can do that. Any other book in existence. That's not even pointing to the fact that all other books are standing on the shoulders of this one, because this one at one time was the only book, period.
you just take Christianity and cut out Leviticus and Deuteronomy, and already you've done great work.
Yeah, cut out all the parts that talk about the law that you're supposed to follow and the punishments that come along with you breaking them. Yeah, good idea. Let's do that. Let's just have a book that has no concept of reality because you take out the parts that matter. Do you not see what you're doing? Do you not understand that you're being a petulant child and stomping your feet going, I don't want to take my medicine? The reason the law was put there is to give you a framework by which to guide your own life. If you take that out, you're not doing something good. You're robbing people of the way, the truth, and the life. Hey, American Justice, good to see you.
And we could rewrite the Ten Commandments in less than 5 minutes and improve upon it.
Really? What would you change? Would you change the part about not lying or bearing false witness? because that's what you're doing? Or would you change the part about not killing people? Or would you just change that first one? Thou shalt have no other gods before me. I am the Lord your God. Is that the one you would change? You think you could improve upon it? I don't think you can. I think it's perfect. It has symmetry. It has verisimilitude.
So, being kind to children and swap out the bit about the graven images, and you've already made it a much wiser document. Now,
Yeah, the bit about graven images is thou shalt not worship false gods. I am the Lord your God, the one true God. There shall be no other gods before me. Don't bow to graven images. That includes the cross, by the way, for those of you who don't think I'm keeping score on both sides. Hey, there's a Sepsin trichinosis. Good to see you, my friend. It has drunken perfection. Perfect. Yeah, he can't make eye contact. People that lie don't like to make eye contact.
but that's not the point. I mean, the point is that one point I made, which he never really addressed, is that you're smuggling in a concern for well-being in any case. You just have a different timeline. If Christianity were true, it would be part of my moral landscape. I mean, if someone like myself is going to suffer in hell for eternity based on what I'm currently thinking, then I clearly am doing the wrong thing. I mean, I would.
Bingo! You're getting it. Finally, some common sense came out of your mouth. You are clearly doing the wrong thing. And Christianity is true, so you should forthwith make it part of your worldview. I'm waiting. I don't think you will, because I think you don't want there to be a God, and I think I know why. Little light in the loafers there. Anyway, by the way, that's not a salvation issue, so you shouldn't hate God because you chose to do something he hates. Anyway, listen, dude. You can't find a single thing about Christianity that is a lie. If it's in the binder of that book we call the Bible, I dare you to find one word that isn't true. You can't do it. I've done it. I've looked for 30 years. It's not there. I promise. Either take my word for it or go look for yourself. Every word that you can prove is true. There are some things in the Bible you cannot prove. There are some things in the Bible that you have to take on faith. Every word that can be proven is true. And you, sir, are doing a disservice by telling people that it's otherwise.
I would want that information.
Jeff Etheridge, in the house. What's happening, cuz?
And I would think, that would be a revelation to me, which I would take seriously, and I would do everything I could to get into heaven. I mean, that would be, heaven is if eternity in heaven versus eternity in hell is really the landscape that we're living on.
It is. Get busy.
Well, that's part of my moral landscape. It just changes its temporal characteristics. There's just no reason to think that that's the universe we're living in.
There's no reason to think that that's the universe we're living in, except for the fact that there's a Bible that's been here for thousands of years. Thousands of years. Literally the whole time you've been here, it's been here. That's one reason. The fact that 1/4 of all people, probably more, believe that Bible is another reason. The fact that there are clearly things that you cannot explain with your worldview, i.e., evolution and Big Bang Theory and all that nonsense. Clearly, the harder you look, the more you disprove yourself. If you don't believe me, read a few scientific papers. They are falling over themselves right now because every single thing they try to prove falls apart in their hands because it's not right. Furthermore, look up. Have you ever witnessed a child being born? Have you ever looked at a tree with any real clarity? Have you ever looked up into the cosmos and realized that all of That is going on above your head and nobody seems to be driving. There are many reasons to think that that is the universe in which we live. You are going through life with blinders on because you don't want to see it. Yeah, except for one, Jeff. Hindu people can't claim that their God is the creator of everything because their God does not claim that. Sorry. Good try, though.
Am I right? Yeah, I've got a question for Dr. Harris. So a lot of the argument, I guess, I felt like it depended a lot on the definition of
Trees are like clowns. They're not to be trusted. You go, Sebson.
good and bad, right and wrong. And I wanted to ask you if you thought it would be possible for there to be. So I've got a two-part question. For there to be a hypothetical God that scratch everything you know about Judaism, Christianity, Hinduism, create your own new God, and if it would be hypothetical for this God to perfectly align with your definition of moral theory. So say
okay, now that is a good question because inevitably we as people attach our worldviews to the truth often, and also our religions and also our upbringing. So it's really good to attack the truth without the trappings of Christianity or Judeo orthodoxy or Hinduism, as it were. It's good to look at reality in black and white, to see what is real and what is not, to bear out what you believe, to test it, to observe it, to see if it's real. Don't just believe it because a group of other people believe it. Find out for yourself. That's a very good question this young man is coming from. I doubt very seriously that Sam Harris will think about that in terms that will actually enlighten him and cause him to think for himself. More than likely, he's going to say something retarded that will dumb down immediately the idea that this kid is putting out. But it's a smart question. What if there is a hypothetical God, putting aside Judaism and Christianity and Hinduism and all of that? Clearly, there's a God. Anybody with any brains can see that something is beyond us. However, what that something is up for much debate because we are humans and we can only see one small portion of the picture, and that is reality.
that this God says and commands that good and bad are dependent on the well-being of conscious animals.
Claiming to be everything and claiming to create everything are two different things, Jeff. Look into it a little bit more. I've done it, and I promise you I'm not lying to you. Their gods are little g gods, all of them. The only God that claims to be the Almighty, the highest of high, the one true God is our God Yahweh. That's the only one. Even the devil knows that.
And then simultaneously to that question, whether you think a God of love does just that. Because it seems to me, in my experience and looking at history, that there is no greater continuum across human history than the presence of love and the fact that we've had marriage, whether homosexual, heterosexual, transgender, from the moment we've been living animals. And so if that really is the root of our well-being, then how does a God of love not promote well-being? So, but answer the first part first.
Yeah. Well, love clearly has a lot to do with our well-being. And
Really? Where does love come from? What part of your body produces love? Do you know? What is love? Why is it the thing that it is? Where did it come from? How does it get made? What process causes it? If you're going to say serotonin, wrong. That's not right. That's well-being, yes, but not love. Not serotonin won't make you jump off a cliff to save your children. Serotonin won't make you take a bullet for your wife or pine the loss of her or miss her while she's at work. These things occur not by chemical process. They seem to be there before you even are aware of them. They kind of hit you, not the other way around. So where is that love coming from? What about jealousy? Or lust, or sadness, or depression, or worse, depravity? Where do these things come from? The brain has no process in which to create these things. All it is a series of chemical reactions and electrical conductions. What does gray matter do that causes these emotions? Do you know? Where does consciousness itself come from? Is it inside your head? I don't think it is. Even the greatest artist, if being honest, will tell you that they didn't think of anything. First, they listened for a thought, and then they received one. That's when your eyes go up and to the right. That's called listening. You're listening for a thought. Try it. Think of something right now yourself. Do it right now. Think of anything. You can't. You cannot have a thought. You can receive a thought, but you cannot create one. They come from outside of you. What does that mean? I have no idea. It's just an observation, but I'm telling you, it's evidence for something more than yourself. Conscience comes from Scotch. Yes. But I'm autistic. Well, then your thoughts come from weird places.
And if there were a God of love
There is.
who was really acting like a God of love and was making, the problem is the existence of God doesn't really add to the moral stature of love in that case, because
Really? Well, if there was no God, you could do whatever you wanted to do, and there would be nobody to tell you you were wrong. So, yeah, it does matter if he exists.
or the moral stature of the good. I mean, this goes to the Euthyphro dilemma that we haven't spoken about, probably mercifully. But I mean, if it's either intrinsically good or it isn't, and for God to say it's good doesn't make it more good, and it's not good by fiat. So he's either saying it's good because it is good, in which case we can just deal with the fact that it is good, or it's just good because he says it's good, but then he can say any evil thing is good, which Dr. Craig's God does rather often.
Is it just me, or did anybody in chat understand a word he just said in reference to that question? That sounded like hubbaloo at its finest. That sounded like word salad. It sounded like upheaval, vomiting of bywords. But it didn't make any sense. Or maybe it's just me. Yeah, I think it might be him. An atheist, a Christian, and a Muslim walked into the bar. The other guy ducked.
Apparently. So, but love is clearly something we desperately want in our lives, and we're right to want it. We're deeply social.
Why do you want it? If it's just a chemical reaction that happens within your body, why does someone else want it? What driving force is there? What connection that caused two people to love each other? It's not a one-way thing. Love, if it were a chemical reaction, would only affect you, but it doesn't. It affects everyone who it touches. Why?
Creatures, and the fear that is sort of circulating here that well-being somehow leaves something out that's important, I think, and I argue at some length in my book, is quite unfounded, because whatever you bring to me which is truly important, you say, okay, you're talking about well-being, but here I'm talking about self-transcending love. This is really important.
What are you talking about? You've switched the subject 4 times already. You still haven't answered him.
Important. Well, self-transcending love is probably at the core of the deepest well-being that we can experience as human beings. But likewise, if the Christian hell exists and awaits me, well-being in the end is predicated on avoiding those flames. And so that
I've said this before. I will say it again. The Christian hell, the one that you're referring to, does not exist. It is not biblical. It's not there. Go look if you don't believe me. It's not there. The word is there, but they're talking about the grave in most cases. The other cases, they're talking about a trash heap outside of Jerusalem called Gehenna, where trash heap is burned. It is not a literal place. The literal place you're referring to and conflating with the word hell is Abraham's bosom, where souls used to go to be collected until Judgment Day. There's a good side and there's a bad side, but they're both just a waiting room. And when Jesus died, that was done away with. Now, when you die, your spirit instantly goes back to the Father who gave it, i.e., everybody goes to heaven. Everybody. Now, whether you stay there or not is a different story, because there will be a judgment day. When that day comes, everyone will be judged for their deeds, both good and bad. They'll get the rewards and they'll get the punishment. And a select few of them, some of them who followed that one that fell originally, that old serpent, the devil, Satan, whatever you want to call him, will be cast into a lake of fire and instantly burned up, ergo being separated from God, which is hell. That is the worst position you can be in, separated from God. You don't want that, I promise. That is what you're referring to. That's not the Christian hell that you're talking about, where the flames and everybody's going to burn. That's Dante. You're mixing up books here.
So all of it.
Hey, if you ever want to host a real life atheist, I'd be game. You're wrong about Sam, though. He's a good man and actually very spiritual. He lives a life of charity and genuinely wants to and believes. Well, first of all, I haven't made any assumptions about Sam beyond his conversation that we're looking at right now. I don't know what kind of man he is. I'm sure he's a great man, and we could probably be friends if we knew each other, and I have lots of atheist friends. That's not the point here. This is a debunking. My job is to find fault with his argument, which he is doing a good job of on his own. That being said, all people are searching for God, even the atheists, even the ones that vehemently disagree with that statement. Definitely no God, but yet in their deepest, darkest places, they're searching for it because it's there. It's a real thing. And all people have differing degrees of connection to it. Some are very little, some are a whole lot. Sam may be on his way to being saved. Who knows? I don't. I'm not here to judge him. I'm here to judge his argument, and that's all. And when I say moron, I'm referring to a statement, not a man. So don't think that I'm calling him a moron. I'm sure he's a nice guy. That being said, I would love to have you on the channel, and I would love to have a conversation, argument, or debate with you. That's fine. I can hold my own. You can see that. And I won't be disrespectful, but I might call you a moron. But I won't be calling you a moron. I'll be calling a statement a moron. You understand how my brain works? It's not like I'm trying to be mean. It's just, there's a lot of dumb things being said. Anyway, anytime you want to come on, you just let me know. We'll set that up. I think that'd be a great fun. And we're related, so we can catch up. I have two rules. Number one, nothing that happens can be held against one another. And number two, got to keep it kind of respectful because there's other people watching. If you can handle that, then we can have any kind of conversation you like. He's into meditation and Eastern stuff. I can see that. And by the way, I've heard some of his conversations on Joe Rogan and whatnot. I'm sure he's a smart guy and a deep thinker. However, he is wrong about the subject he is tackling at this point, and it shows. Let's wrap it up.
You're smuggling in a concern about consciousness and its future changes, whatever you bring in the moral domain. And so I'm saying we must be honest about that. We ground this in consciousness, and then we can talk about how human beings like ourselves can thrive. And I would grant you that love is probably on the top of the list.
I agree with you, Jeff. I'd rather have a conversation, too, a real back and forth where we could express our ideas and get to the meat of the situation. I don't care too much for the stiff, rigid debate structure because nobody ever gets to a point and both sides always claim they won. So it's much better to just talk it out, whatever happens will happen. If we go into it not assuming we're going to solve anything, we can come out of it with some pretty deep thoughts, I think. That's my opinion. Sepson says, Jeff, the problem that I have with Sam is that he comes across very conceited. His arguments are rather circular and rarely addresses the real issue. and I am by no means a Christian. Well, you're getting there. Come on now. You can't say that anymore. You had a turn the other day. I just picked up the wrong cigarette and tried to suck on it.
Down here to my right.
Actually, Jeff, I think you're probably a pretty smart guy. It's been a while since we spoke, but I remember you being intellectual. I would relish the opportunity for someone to present me with an atheist worldview that actually can hold its weight against me. As you see, I have very little trouble dismantling arguments of that nature. I would much, much prefer someone who's actually thought about it for a while, lived with it, has a view on it to discuss it with, because that person actually has skin in the game. And I think that might be more valuable than this, per se. So, yeah, anytime you want to, I'm with you, buddy.
Mr. Harris, from my personal experience and from my faith, I find that Christ's first commandment was to love thy neighbor and thy God. And I believe that if you are a Muslim, then you follow through with that. If you are a devout Muslim, and you
Interesting that even Muslims refer to Christ as a prophet, and they say peace be with him, which is their highest compliment among men. It's funny that a Muslim, somebody of the opposite faith, would give such reverence to a man named Jesus. By the way, the Muslim faith came from the same family the Christian faith came from. They were two brothers, Isaac and Ishmael. Isaac went that way and formed what would eventually become Christianity. Ishmael went that way and formed, with the help of the Catholic Church, by the way, what eventually became Islam. They both had the same daddy, and his name was Abraham, and I believe we spoke about him earlier.
care about the well-being of all mankind. And that's kind of in relation to my next question, which is like, how would a naturalist respond to amazing miracles by God, which, like, say, the miracle of the sun, which was witnessed by 30,000 to 100,000 people in Fatima, Portugal.
All right, what he's referring to, Fatima, which is a place in Portugal, where the whole town, and this was in the 30s, by the way, so this is in modern history and was observed by everybody, that the sun danced in one spot for like 4 or 5 hours without moving. Now, there's all kinds of scientific reasons why this could have happened. I mean, we could have been hit by an asteroid that day and it shook the earth. There could have been some unknown force happening in the cosmos. Who knows why it happened? But at the exact same time, a couple of little girls had what we would refer to as a vision, where they saw what they called Mother Mary. Could have been the devil, by the way, but they saw something, and it's documented. And one of those became a nun, one of those little girls, and worked in the Vatican for many, many, many years, and wrote down everything that the nun, or that the vision, told her, and gave it to Pope John Paul, who was supposed to release it in the year 2000. He died before that, and the next pope just said, we're not doing that. So, but this is a real occurrence that they're speaking about. Science vaguely explains God's quote-unquote magic. Well, there's no magic. I was listening to an atheist debate last night, and the guy kept using the word supernatural. I don't believe in the supernatural. I don't like supernatural things. I don't tend to supernatural. The word supernatural means more natural than normal natural things. Super, as in like superscript, like more than the original. God is supernatural. He is more natural than we are. He is nature itself. Everything God does has a scientific, rational explanation. All the miracles. I'll give you an example. The parting of the Red Sea. That sounds like a supernatural event, sure enough. But at the exact same moment that the Red Sea was occurring, there was a little island off of Greece called Santorini that had a massive volcano eruption and exploded. And when it did, it caused a tsunami on the other side of the world. And on this side of the world, the Red Sea parted. Are those two events connected? I think more than likely they were. Jesus found a man in the street who had been blind his life. So he bent down and picked up some dirt and put it in his hand and spit in it and mingled the spit with the clay and then rubbed it in his eyes and then told him to go wash his face. And when he went and washed his face, he received his sight. Not when Jesus touched him, when he went and washed his face. Now, sand and spit sounds a lot like an abrasive, does it not? Like sandpaper. Could be that there was something wrong with the guy's eyes and Jesus saw it and fixed it by rubbing away the scales, as it were. I'm not suggesting this is exactly how it happened, but that's a good explanation for it. And when he applied water and washed the dirt out of his eyes, he could then see. Could be that Jesus has 409 in his saliva. I don't know. But it's a good, plausible explanation. Everything God does has a scientific, natural explanation, and I stand by that point.
1917, as well as miracles of the Eucharist, in which the Eucharist actually starts to form veins and bleed, and where this blood is actually tested and is found to be AB positive from the left ventricle of the heart. And it's actually been researched under leading pathologists in New Zealand to actually be throbbing and living as it was in his laboratory for the 30 days.
That's right, Sepson. Math is the language of God. It's been here long before creation has been, and it will be afterwards. And yes, to man, God appears to be magic. But to man, this cell phone appears to be magic. Do you know how it works? I don't.
Okay. The problem with miracle stories are that they truly are a dime a dozen. I mean, the miracle stories that cash out Christianity are miracle stories set in the context of the pre-scientific context of the first century Roman Empire.
I think I know where you're going with this. You're going to say that everything Jesus did, there's been men that do to this day. And that's not true. There are men that perform what we consider to be miracles, but as illustrated in the temple, in Pharaoh's temple with the serpent and the staff, what his magi were able to do was a trick. Moses, however, turned his rod into a snake and it gobbled their snakes up. The difference is there's a difference between a trick and a miracle. Yes, you can emulate miracles by performing tricks, and if a person doesn't know how the trick is done, it's magic. But it's only magic to the person that doesn't know the trick. So you finally got the 409 joke, April? Yeah, I'm clever. But a miracle is evidence of an existing God that can cause something to happen that there is no explanation for. Such as walking on water. Do I think I can walk on water? No. But I think Jesus could. And I think he did. And I think it freaked everybody out. And I think that's why everybody remembers that story.
Attested to by copies of ancient Greek manuscripts that have thousands of discrepancies. Now, there are miracle stories.
Wrong again. There are not thousands of discrepancies in the Greek manuscripts if you're referring to the ones that were compiled into the Bible. If you're referring to the bad translations of the Bible, then yes, you are correct. But don't conflate the two, is all I'm saying. Point out that there is a clear line from Antioch to the King James Version of the Bible, and it is the most accurate set of texts known to man, backed up by many things, including the Dead Sea Scrolls. And all but 11 books can be recreated just by reading letters that were written back and forth between priests at that era. So it is the most accurate text known to man. It is not full of inaccuracies. If you're talking about that line of translations. However, there are many other translations in the world, such as the Gutenberg and all the other Bibles that are out there, the NIV and all of those revised, repurposed 25% different for copyright purposes books that are full of inaccuracies. But don't conflate the two. If you're going to talk about them honestly and point out that there is an inspired Word of God which he promised he would leave on this earth for everybody to have access to, which would be the King James Version Bible. And there are a bunch of garbage.
Stories that you can find in India today, attested to by living eyewitnesses. So you look at the people surrounding someone like Satya Sai Baba. Thousands of Western
Satya Sai Baba is a trickster. He is a magician. He is not a prophet of God.
educated people go to India, spend time with Satya Sai Baba, and come away claiming that he's performed a variety of miracles. And in fact, if you add up all those stories, every miracle attributed to Jesus, including the resurrection of the dead, is attributed to Satya Sai Baba. I mean,
well, I'd like to see it happen. You can talk all the talk you want to talk. Let me watch you pull somebody that's just good started stinking and make them walk out, as if Jesus did with Lazarus. You see, Jesus didn't just raise the dead. He waited for 3 days. You understand? He got good and situated and sat there and didn't move while everybody was saying, are you going to do something? He's dying. And Jesus just waited. Are you going to do something? He's nearly dead. And Jesus just waited. Okay, Jesus, he's dead. Are you going to do something now? And Jesus just waited. And they buried him and had a funeral. And 3 days went by. And the body just started getting ripe. You could start to smell it when they pulled away. And then Jesus said, now let's go to the tomb. And they're like, what good is that going to do? He's been dead for a week. Well, roll the stone away. Let's see what happens. They roll the stone away, and immediately everybody gasps because of the stench that came from within that tomb. That dead body was for show dead. And Jesus said, hey, Lazarus, come out of there. And a minute went by, and out stumbled a living, breathing human being who had been dead to the point of stinking. That's not the same thing as having your buddy hide in a coffin and trick somebody into believing you raised the dead. Don't insult the Lord your God with your idiocy. It's a different situation. Sleight of hand and miracles are not the same thing, Sepson.
And millions of people think he's a living God. These stories, from our point of view, don't even merit an hour on the Discovery Channel. Okay? And yet, 2.3 billion people think that the miracles of Jesus are worth organizing your life around. And that
well, let's see. The miracles that are occurring today don't even warrant an hour on the Discovery Channel because we could care less, because deep down we all know they're bullshit. Yet, we're still talking about a man that lived 2,500 years ago and only existed in his town and neighboring towns. He didn't go very far, is what I'm saying. Everywhere he went on foot. And we're talking about him the world over. And if he were alive today, you bet your ass he'd be on 24/7 on the Discovery Channel and every other channel that exists too. Because that's what was going on in his time. Do you understand the term multitude? On many occasions, he had multitudes of people that would follow him everywhere he went. So yeah, he was kind of impressive is what I'm saying.
I think is an intellectually unsustainable disparity. Now, I'm not closed to the evidence of miracles, and it would be trivially easy for God to convince me of his existence or the powers of psychic powers of saints or whatever it is. I mean, if you can tell, I've got a...
Saints are not psychic. Sorry. If a person understands something that's going to happen, it's for one of two reasons. Either they can read patterns pretty well and understand that history repeats itself, or God told them it was going to happen. There's no such thing as psychics. There's no such thing as ghosts or aliens either. Sorry.
A 20-digit number written on a piece.
Oh, and by the way, God doesn't have to convince you that he's real. It's the other way around. Show some respect and humble yourself. Who do you think you are? God doesn't approve anything to you. your belief in him is irrelevant to his existence. You can choose to or choose not to. Either way, doesn't change the fact that he's real.
The paper in my
I'm
wallet.
not God, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay, but if you tell me what that number is, then we have a very
20.
interesting miracle on our hands.
And I still don't.
I can't let the follow-ups continue. I'm sorry.
By the way, that wouldn't be a miracle. That would be divination. That's not the same thing as a miracle. That would be mind reading or mentalism. That's a trick that people perform all the time in Vegas right now. That's not a miracle. If that's all it takes to impress you, step right up. I'll be your God. But that's not what God does. He doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. That's why he doesn't do tricks. God's not a performer, and he's not a genie either.
I have a whole bunch of people lined up.
So this question is for Dr. Harris. Unfortunately, mine won't be as funny. Okay, so it seems to me that there's a distinction in your argument that I'd like you to discuss, which is the conceptual possibility of the most miserable world and its material possibility. So basically what I'm asking is whether you can cite any evidence to believe that this is not the world that is most miserable, or otherwise. So if you can't, let's assume this is the world with the material conditions for the most misery to exist. Then wouldn't it be moral to destroy it all, destroy all consciousness? So I'm just wondering, how would you distinguish that this is not the worst possible world?
Well, it may be.
April, why would you think you offended anybody? You hadn't offended anybody. And thank you for the compliment. And I'm glad to see everybody here, too. Do we need to continue this? I mean, have I made my point? I feel like we're reaching redundancy here. If all he's going to talk about is the most miserable world in existence, when clearly this is the only world in existence, it's kind of a silly argument. Anyway, I think we're done. I don't think we need to go any further. That was my debunking of Sam Harris. Did you enjoy it? I hope you did. I hope you found something enlightening about it. I hope that it touched you in some way. I hope that it inspired you in other ways. And I hope, above all, that it caused you to think, caused you to want to look further. Find out for yourself if these things are true or not. Find out for yourself if there's any merit in reality. And when you do, you will learn, most assuredly, that you're not by yourself. There are thousands, millions, billions of us, and we all need something. Won't you please take a moment, hit that subscribe button, and press that bell icon so you get notifications of when I'm going to be online. Smash the like button. It's free. It's right in front of you. It takes no effort at all, and it helps the channel with the algorithm, so there's no reason not to. Share this video with somebody you love. Better yet, share it with somebody you don't love. Bring them into the family. Make them part of the fold. Be part of their solutions, not part of their problems. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you're thinking about. Question me, curse me, bless me, challenge me, confront me, conform with me, drink my Kool-Aid, drink your own Kool-Aid. As long as you're thinking critically, that's what I want. Critical thought coming from that brain of yours. And if you love the Word of God and you can see the value in what I'm trying to create, if you would like to be part of this, something special, part of this community that we're trying to build, or if you feel led to send your tithes, offerings, or love offerings, or if you just like to pat me on the back and say, hey, nice job, Jake, I get what you're doing. Won't you please consider supporting this channel by going to paypal.me/JakeJohnsonBand. Every little bit helps. It's a win-win. It's a blessing to me. It's a blessing to you too, because God notices these things in this reciprocal universe in which we live, and I greatly appreciate the support and the confidence and the patronage, and I will do my utmost to be worthy of your praise. And I thank you, and we'll round out this video by taking all your questions and comments. Hey, there she is. She's having issues. That's not good. Nice job, Jake. Thank you, American Justice. I appreciate that. Means a lot. That's the truth, Sepson. Sepson is spot on. I missed what Sepson said. I got to go back and see. The only miserable world is a world without God. That is true. It is the worst position you can be in, separated from God. You don't want that, I promise. Tech troubles. Tech issues. April says, hit that like, everybody, and remember, don't forget, VJ.
Now I lay me down to sleep.
That's my theme song. I have a theme song, and it's not rap.
If I die before I wake, VJ,
I've been a good dog.
best friend, right through it all, VJ.
Kibbles and bits and bits and bits.
If I die before I wake,
VJ. All right. I like that song. It's almost like they wrote it for me. Isn't that special? Have you guys had fun tonight? I hope you have. I've had a good time. Sepson, thanks for hanging. Jeff, ATL, Truth Be Told, Caucasian, American Justice, April, Kevin, Diego, everybody. George Ward. Where's 420 at? Didn't see 420 today. Yes, Jake, you did great. Thank you, sweetheart. I hope everybody had a good Valentine's Day on Monday. I hope everybody got some nookie. Everybody but me. Thanks for the show, says Sepson. You're welcome, sir. It's my pleasure and my honor. Fair winds and following seas, chat. That's a sailor's way of saying, peace out, Negro. Yeah, 420 was absent today. Yes, he was. There must have been a reason. Sometimes he's not faring so well, so I wouldn't blame him for missing a day. I didn't. You didn't what, American Justice? Ahoy! Much love, Sepson. Ahoy is hello. It's not like aloha. And you're right, Diego. I hope 420 is all right. I hope he's all right, too. I'm sure he's just bogged down in San Francisco. He, get nookies. Get nookie. I didn't get any nookie. Well, that makes two of us. That's a shame. Yeah, 420, from what I understand, if I'm correct in the matter, is on chemo, and he has to go to town, San Francisco, several times a week or a month and get treatments. And that may be where he's at tonight. Who knows? Let's all have a prayer and say, get well, 420. Father, please watch over 420. You know who he is and you know what his situations are. Bless him, touch him, and keep your hands on him. Keep him safe and bring him back to us with the will of God. In Jesus' name, amen. I'm from California, by the way. Really? Funny. I had you pegged for being from Mexico. Poor dirt farmer. Swanee Country, Florida. Hey, I own some property up there. I got some property in High Springs, Florida, which is right off the Itchitucknee, which is an offshoot of the Swanee River. I was born in Paramount. The lot or the theme park? Or the town? Hello, poor dirt farmer. Welcome to the show. Hope you enjoyed what you saw. I hope you come back for more. Got some folks in Florida. Poor Dirt Farmer. Is that a Ghostbusters reference? Ghostbusters Afterlife? My parents are from Mexico, but they moved to California before I was born. But that makes sense. My sister was born in Portland, Oregon, of all places. Born in the town of Paramount. Why, that's very important. It's paramount. Which I don't know why they use that word to mean very important, because it literally means more than one mountain. And they came in legally. I didn't ask. I did not ask, but I'm glad you did. My dad is a U.S. citizen, and my mom is a U.S. resident. And that's the way to do it. I don't like when people come in illegally because it screws with the system. Makes it harder for those who try to do it the right way. And I'm not saying that the right way is the best way either. I'm sure it could use some improvement. But there is a right way and a wrong way, and I'm glad they did it the right way. And I'm sure they're proud of that fact, too. Because at one time, being an American citizen meant something. And I can't wait for the days where it does again. But right now, if you're quote unquote patriotic, you're breaking the law, mofo. But we've only got a couple more years of that. And somebody's going to come in and trump things up. I moved to Tennessee in 2004. I should have moved to Tennessee in 1999, but I didn't do it. Because somebody told me country music was dead and I believed them. And I was a dummy for not going. I should have went. Because shortly after I chose not to go, there was a big boom in music and I would have been right on the tail of it. Right on the ground floor, and I missed it. And had I went, I'd probably be famous right now. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, been there, done that, bought the t-shirt. They say hindsight's 20/20, but they also say there's no use in looking backwards. With joke Taliban, woke people, LGBTQ, abortionists, and anyone who holds Marxist ideologies, those are patriots in the left's liking. Well, can't argue with that. I mean, I can argue with the logistics of that, but I can't argue with that. You're absolutely right. That's what they want everybody to be. His Afghanistan disaster has forever damaged his image in the U.S. history. That's not all. His falling asleep at the wheel kind of has, too. Diego, you need to cheer for the Georgia Bulldogs, not the Tennessee Volunteer. To be losers. That was from Big Kev. Hey, there's 420. We were just talking about you. Said a prayer and everything. How you doing, sir? How you feeling? Are you doing all right? Do you need anything? You missed a good show. We knocked them dead. Pow! Zoom! Right in the kisser. We were worried about you, buddy. I'm glad you're here, though. I feel good. I was driving. All right. Were you listening? Because if you were, you heard some things you shouldn't have heard. And you're welcome. All right, boys and girls, we reached the top of the hour. It's that time again. Jeff, if you're still with me, buddy, shoot me an email. Let me know when you want to get together and we'll do something. I will rewind it. You do that. And I hope you enjoy what we did. We finished out the Sam Harris debate, debunking. Killed it. There wasn't nothing but a couple of questions left, and they were getting increasingly retarded, so I decided to call it. But we got the meat of it. We got the good stuff done. 3-part series. Watching Sam Harris go down in flames. Anybody want to check it out? It is online for your availability. Hey, 420 from Kev and beautiful April. What's up with the Ukraine-Russia thing, Jake? I have no idea. Apparently, Joe Biden seems to think that Ukraine is about to get taken over by Russia, only Ukraine doesn't seem to think so, and Russia doesn't seem to think so, and there is some posturing going on, and there's some bickering because Ukraine has always been a part of Russia, but has also been independent for quite a while, and, you know, there's some stuff going on, and Joe Biden really, really wants to get us involved in another war, so that's what he's choosing to do it on because there's nothing else going on in the world, apparently. And as far as I can tell, if he manages to do it, we're going to be in trouble because it's going to ruin a lot of things and kill a lot of people for no damn reason. Hopefully, somebody will put a stop to this before it gets out of hand. And Trump exposed Hillary spying on his campaign when the left said it was all fake. Well, that's true, but it was not Trump who exposed it. It was one of those senator guys with the short hair. I can't think of his name right now. There's a senator, Jeff something, I think. Can't remember who it was. Anyway, Trump said it back in the campaign days that he was being spied on, and he was absolutely correct. He was. And he used the right word, believe it or not, because that's exactly what they were doing, wiretapping him. And anyway, they proved it this week, and Hillary's in a bunch of hot water, and I think they did that because she was considering running again, because Trump is considering running again. And I really, really hope he does, because that will be sweet, sweet nectar to see him win in a landslide. Nobody believed him. 60 Minutes lady just made a mockery of him. The lady with the lisp. Yeah. Barbara Walters. But she's eating her words right now. Okay, boys and girls, it is 10:06 and I'm going to bed. I love you with all my heart. I love you true. Honest to God, I do. I do. I hope you have a great night. I hope you have a wonderful day tomorrow. And I will see you guys on Friday where we can do whatever the heck you want to do. And we'll have some fun. Because nobody is having more fun than we are. And that's a fact, Jack. So stay tuned. Tune in and be ready. Same bat time, same bat channel. I love you with all my heart. Thanks for watching.